moving on to the next one. So
Yeah.
if you don't have your strong choices and an ability to break down a scene and make it its best, you're maybe not getting that on set.
Because I
So yeah,
think a lot of the time people get hung up on the fact that directors in school were their teachers and they were teaching them
right,
how to be a performer.
right,
And yes, those are great ground tools to start out with, but eventually you're going to have to be able to do it on your own if you want to be paid for this work,
right. Yeah, because
because
nobody's
that's
there
what
to
you
hold
are.
your
You're a
hand.
technician.
Yeah,
Like as we've talked about before, a pilot does all the pilot checklists before the plane takes off.
right,
Like they make sure that the engine's working, they make sure the ignition's on, and all the other work that they need to do before there's takeoff. You are a skilled worker when you are an actor because
right.
you've been training for years and years at this craft to be able to do it with the best of the best.
Yeah, that's a really good point too about the difference to like, yeah, if you were younger, your director was coaching and training and teaching and doing all that stuff, but ain't nobody got time for that shit. And that was that was you paying to go to
Yeah.
school and you paying to be directed, whereas
Mhm.
you want this $1 million production to pay you the big bucks to star in their thing. No one's going to tell you how to do it or take the time to teach you how to act by that point or teach you how to make strong choices. You just got to deliver the goods. So
Yeah.
if you're lucky, every once in a while, you get directors and you get people who are teaching and you learn. Obviously, you learn new things, but the reason that you've been cast is because you're a pro and you're ready to rock and you're going to do
Mhm.
your job, so that the director just can say action and cut, and when they're shooting, they're getting what they need. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we drop that link in there. Make sure that you do register for that. There's only they'll do limited spots. There is no replay in the past. They've sent out a replay if for some reason you couldn't attend. But you got to show up live, so you'll get a great benefit out of it. And I will say this too, for Toronto actors, depending on the numbers, we'll host. In the past, we've hosted live like watch party / perform party, where there's Toronto actors here and want to come into our Toronto studio. We'll have like a gallery out in the front where Brandon is, and then whoever's on camera working with Tom can be back here in our audition room. Otherwise, it's via Zoom, so it's an international thing. You can register and watch from the comfort of your own Zoom room wherever you live in the world. But that's next Wednesday, October 11th at 7 p.m. Make sure you register. When you do register, you'll have the option to tick observer, and you can just like audit the class, take a ton of notes. Tom's constantly dropping pearls of wisdom and using this lingo about guideposts and viewpoints and vocal variation and tons of great little lessons that you'll learn. I know that every time I do a class, I feel like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of notes. And the thing I love about it as well is it's fresh. Every class is fresh because he's working with new material, with new actors, but he's always returning to the same thing. So it's not like it's changing every time. You're like, so it doesn't contradict itself. It's just the more you study with him, the more it drills in these basics of guideposts, viewpoints, vocal variation. We got someone here saying, can't see the link. Would you mind dropping it again? Is this the same person that said, sup, boys? Facebook user, somewhere on Facebook, there's a permission for you to let StreamYard know that they can share your info with us, and we'll be able to see your name and picture if you want to hit that permission button. But we'll drop that link again. We'll also hook it up in the show notes. And then the other thing that you can do is you can go back into last time Tom did this masterclass with us. We did several episodes. I'm looking them up right now. Episode 146 is the physics of performance with Tom Todoroff. We talk about guideposts 1 through 5. We go through the guideposts in detail. Episode 147 is guideposts 6 through 10. And episode 148 is if you're real keeners and you're chomping at the bit and you really want to do some learning in prep of that masterclass, Go back, listen to episode 144, 145, and 146. You know what? I can probably drop the I'm going to drop the links in here too. This is episode 146, which is guideposts 1 through 5, and episode 147, which is guideposts 6 through 10. These are our Spotify/Anchor links. You can look up the podcast. If you don't know, it's on all podcast platforms. So whatever one you're on, if you're on Apple Podcasts, find it there. And one more. So this would be some great reminders or refreshers, or if you haven't heard of Tom and his technique, we break down a lot of the examples of the guideposts and how to apply them to scenes. Oh, it's Francis. What up, Francis? What up, Francis? Francis, you should definitely register for that and choose perform. You'll get a ton out of it, even if you're just auditing and observing, as long as you're actively observing and actively listening and don't have a million other tabs and phones and Netflix on in the background. Like, actually take notes and be present as a student-minded learning person. But I would suggest jump in and work with them. You'll get more. I do get more working from him than observing, but you'll get lots from observing. If you're afraid, then just audit and observe. But if you're really bold, then get in there.
Yeah, take a risk. Do it. Perform.
Take a risk. Is that Luna growling back there?
Yeah.